It's 6 o'clock. I'm calling to order this regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Bandera. It's March 4th, 2021. All council members are present. The city secretary is present and the marshal is present. Item 2 on our agenda is the invocation of pledge of allegiance. Will, would you please lead us in prayer? And ladies and gentlemen, the flag is over here on this front side of the building when we get ready for the pledge.
Most gracious and loving Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us all together this evening safely. Lord, we'd ask your blessings upon the Bandera City Council. Lord, we'd also ask for prayers and blessings on our country as it goes forward in the troubling times that we're currently having. Lord, we ask that everyone makes it home safely, and Lord, most of all, thank you for this glorious day that we've had today. Lord, most of all, thank you for your Son who died upon the cross for our many, many sins. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item 3 is visitors to be heard. Jill, have we received any emails today about for visitors? Okay. Nancy Harvey. Nancy, you want to speak?
Yes, you don't mind?
Please, just stand up and address the council, please.
Thank you for letting me speak, council. I appreciate it. I looked over the initial DNA Bandera report, and I've got to admit I was extremely frustrated by it. I thought it focused on limited, on limited businesses. Not one member of that group ever came into my store and talked to me. I'm there 6 days a week. I think I've missed one day since I opened. Except for Snow Week, which we all miss. But it showed one business that I know has not been open in a year. It showed a couple of brand new buildings that had just been built, but I don't think they reached the substance of what it is that Bandera's DNA truly is. And if that report is what is going to be the basis of how we move forward, I think we've missed the boat.
Thank you, Nancy. All right, item 4, discussion and possible action on the following items. Item A is a presentation from Rebecca Norton about giving permission to the Bandera County Historical Commission to pursue making the Tin Man Water Tower a historic landmark through the Texas Historical Commission.
On behalf of the Bandera County Historical Commission, thank you so much for this opportunity to speak with you this evening about the Bandera Water Tower. Water towers serve two key purposes. The first, of course, is utility. That is to provide water for the surrounding community. The second is probably more important. They tend to serve as a beacon of civic pride. For many communities, a water tower is part of its identity, and this is certainly true for Bandera. Our water tower has been an iconic landmark since it was constructed in 1940. It has appeared on souvenir postcards, it has served as a background for numerous parades and festivities, and it has garnished fame beyond our city limits, appearing in travel shows around Texas and even as far away as Poland. In 2010, the Texas Highways magazine declared it a true Texas landmark. So the water tower, though, is not only an important part of our town's history, it's important in the scheme of the larger history of our country. The tower and the adjoining building were built as a works progress administration project. The WPA was created by the federal government to fund construction projects and infrastructure improvements in order to create jobs during the Great Depression. So the Bandera Water Tower itself is a hemispherical bottom water tower, but whose style is known as a Tin Man for its resemblance to the Tin Man who was first illustrated as far back as 1900 in the book The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Through the years, though, these tin-man water towers have tended to be taken down, dismantled. So now they are very rare. They're considered an endangered species of water towers. As towns, cities try to improve their water systems, a lot of times a value was not placed on these towers. So consequently, there may be, I believe that we have about 6 remaining in Texas. So because they have become so rare, many communities around the country who still have a tin-man water tower are fighting to save them, to save what is left. So in recognizing the historical significance of the Bandera water tower, the Bandera County Historical Commission is seeking the permission of the city of Bandera to pursue a recognized Texas historical landmark designation for both the water tower and the limestone building that sits beneath it, because that was also part of the WPA project. So the tower and the building, they do meet the criteria set forth by the Texas Historical Commission. The structures are more than 50 years old. They have retained their architectural integrity, and they reflect their original appearances. So if approved, the designation would be recognized by either an official Texas historical building medallion, you may have seen them on some of the buildings around town, such as Hino Silver, or we may ask for a medallion with an interpretive plate, or we could ask for a historical marker where the final line of the inscription reads, "Recorded Texas Historic Landmark." So what is the city's obligation if this designation is approved? Well, basically, the structure should retain their basic historical integrity. The city should maintain the tower and the building so that they are adequately preserved. But in this regard, the Bandera County Historical Commission would assist the city in developing a management plan on how best to maintain the structures. So this management plan will document the significance of the water tower. It would examine its existing conditions. It would provide recommendations for restoration and ongoing maintenance, and it would provide the city with the estimated cost to maintain the structures. In the future, if the city decides to do significant alterations or even to demolish the water tower, you have that ability. You would just need to notify the Texas Historical Commission within a certain time period, and generally that's about 90 days. And that's to give the public time to give feedback to the city and hopefully protest the demolition of the water tower. So what are the benefits of attaining this designation? So by attaining the designation, the city becomes eligible for state preservation grants. And these grants, the funds would help offset the cost of any restoration or maintenance needs. So the city is not left out there having to cover the cost on their own. It also allows the city to receive technical preservation assistance through the Texas Historical Commission, and this would assist us in developing that management plan on how we move forward in the future to maintain the structures. And by receiving a state designation, the water tower and the water building would also be eligible for placement on the National Registry of Historic Places. We could apply for that as the next step. This would make the city eligible for federal grants to help offset the maintenance and preservation costs. Then the site would be placed on the Texas Historic Site Atlas. And this site is important in leading to more heritage tourism. Communities seek these types of designation not only to preserve an important aspect of their history, an important aspect of the community's identity, but they do these designations because they are a wonderful way to increase heritage tourism. Many tourists will travel specifically to towns just to view an interesting landmark, whether it's a bridge, a theater, a water tower, and even WPA projects. In this month's Texas Highways magazine, they even talk about guides that are put out where people travel around the country looking for WPA construction projects. So it holds two attractive attractions to it: the historic water tower and the fact that it is a WPA project. So by having this historic designation, the historical commission feels that it's a way for us to protect this important community asset, and we do hope the city agrees with us. Thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca. Yes, Jack. This is Jack Mosley, our Commissioner.
I'd like to say that the first step of this was to get the Bandera Historical Commission to decide to come to the city, to get y'all's permission. Once that happens, Rebecca has to go to Commissioner's Court to get it approved by the Commissioner's Court. And then it has to go to Austin to get approved from the Texas Historical Commission. So there's more steps along with tonight.
Right, this is the first step.
Yeah. I can also say, I don't know if y'all traveled to Chili's restaurants around, but that picture is in a lot of Chili's restaurants. It's a blue picture back on the walls with all their Texas pictures. I've seen it in probably 10 different Chili's in the state of Texas.
Thank you, Jack. Council, I believe that from here, we would probably want to do a resolution, which we won't do tonight, of course, but questions or comments from y'all? Yes, Tony?
I have a couple. The last time I was on city council, we had approved the cross-country team, the girls' cross-country team had been state champions like 3 years in a row, and then since we said yes, that they could put their sticker on there, that they did it again. And so I was wondering, number one, with it being, if we designated that, through the years, we've kind of notoriously had the football or any kind of significant state champs up there, and our decathlon team's pretty rocking these last few years too. But I know that's not a sport event and isn't as highly, it doesn't have as big of accolades. But anyway, I just want to know if we designated it as a historic marker, would that hinder us from doing something like that? That is traditional for that type of
Right.
tenure.
If the designation is approved, you would have to contact the Texas Historical Commission and notify them that you are going to be modifying the appearance. I would recommend that if you want to make those types of additions, that you do it before the marker
That
application
was
is
my thought,
submitted.
and another reason for bringing it up. And then my second thing is the states and grants, or the federal and state grants that you mentioned. Would the historical district assist us in applying for those? And-
Most definitely, yes. We want to partner with the city in maintaining and helping to find funding. So we would act as a partner for you, and we would
Thank you.
definitely help you with those.
Thank you. Rebecca, did you still have a question?
Yeah, it was along the same lines, and I actually wondered if the 2002 state football champs was going to have to come down in order to qualify for the designation. It will not.
No, you submit the application with the appearance of the water tower
As it
at the
is.
moment of the application.
Okay.
So,
Darcy?
okay.
Make a comment, because as the market committee chairman, I've been involved in this for 40 years. I would protest anything with the historical commission if they tried to.
Ray, could I interrupt you, please? Would you identify yourself?
I'm sorry,
state your
I'm Ray
name.
Carter.
Thank you.
I'm the Bandera County co-chairman and the market committee chairman. I've been involved in this for years, and as somebody who's born in Texas and seen these towers, I would protest to the commission itself if they said we couldn't do that, because that is part of our heritage. They've been marked from the beginning of every championship, so that's part of it. And to me, if you marked it for something that happened, let's say in 2025, I would also encourage that it would be put on there, because that's our future heritage. See, that's my argument. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Darcy?
I'm going to agree with Tony that I like that argument. And, as somebody that was involved in every sport virtually and all kinds of other things in school, I would have liked to have seen, the ears and stuff put on the water tower, and we had it put in similar places in Center Point where I went to school. However, my concern would be that, you know, the kids would raise the funds and all of that stuff, it would be put up and that they got approved. Then if they were, to say, no, that's gotta come down, or it's not gonna be, made a historical marker or designated as a historical site, then what? Are we gonna say, well, okay, forget it then, or are we gonna take it off after those kids did all that work? So that is one of my concerns.
A few years ago, the Booster Club came to the council about putting something on the tower, and last I checked with Dr. Hollingsworth, which hasn't been recently, it just ran out of steam, they ran out of funding, so that's where that sits right now, but I can try to get an update, because I too think that recognition of our local accomplishments should go on that tower.
And that's part of what makes water towers so fabulous, is that you have those types of, you know, announcements, that becomes part of that community's identity.
And maybe we just, you know, as long as we let the kids, you know, the fundraisers, know that ahead of time, that's something, you know, that's something that could possibly happen.
Well, I just made a note to get hold of Dr. Hollingsworth. Yes, Tony?
And one ironic thing is that my business card has the Tin Man on it. It's like, I took that picture and everybody that sees it says, where's the buzzards? I was like, I don't know. It was a day without buzzards, I don't know.
They were at my house.
Any other questions? Rebecca, if I could have a copy of your presentation so that I could pass that along to help make a resolution that will
Oh,
be fitting this project, I'd really appreciate that.
sure, I'll email that to you tomorrow.
Thank you. Anything else, council?
Thank you, Rebecca.
All right.
And Ray.
Thank you.
Do we need to make a motion to do a resolution, or do we?
You can make a motion to do a resolution, but not to approve a
Be back on
resolution.
the
so.
agenda when it's, yeah.
Very good.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Item B, request by the Bandera Economic Development Corporation to amend the Bandera Economic Development Corporation bylaws, changing the date and time of the regular scheduled meeting to 5:30 p.m. on the fourth Thursday of the month. In our last meeting, we went over this, and we just like, before we start making the change in the membership requirements, also in the time. Rebecca?
It's going to require a resolution to change the bylaws. So do we have a resolution? I'm sorry if I missed it.
For the record, Mayor, do we need to?
You just have to give us permission to change them, then we'll do the resolution changing them and bringing it to you to amend the bylaws.
Okay. Well, I would move to approve the
Thank you,
request.
Rebecca. Tony, seconds, discussion?
I have discussion just for, so we make sure we're doing this correctly. It's not actually item B under 4, it's the second A. So do we need that for the record, or?
Well, discussion and possible action is for all of those items, and the request is to
Let me show you something, Mayor.
amend the EDC bylaws.
Look, it's just A, B,
Oh, I've got two
C,
A's.
D.
I
There you
just
go.
want to make sure it's correct for the record, so it doesn't come back later.
Thank you. How are we on item B now?
You're so good at this.
Well, I do it all day.
Got a motion and a
Between
second.
drug tests.
Discussion? All in favor?
Okay.
All in favor, none opposed. Thank you. Okay, item C, appointment of one or more members to the Board of Directors of the Bandera Economic Development Corporation. This is sort of jumping the gun, folks, because at this point, the board has not accepted the resignation of Laura Lasoya, so we still have a full board. With some resignations coming in the near future, if we could hit this all at one time. I'm resigning, my term is up in May. We're already in our March, then our April, and then May is it. I'd rather see us do it all at one time. We still have 6 members. And again, that we haven't really accepted the resignation of Laura Lasoya. Tony?
So it's my opinion that it's really not up to the EDC board to accept the resignation, because the council controls it. So we could accept it and then replace it, but I absolutely understand what you're saying, and you know, the applications, I'd like to have a little more time to kind of, all of us go out and recruit, you know, some more people. And, you know, I know there's changes going on at the chamber, there's changes going on, and, you know, we really need to get this together, and the EDC needs to be a partner with the other groups that we've got going on. And so, but I've been happy with working with the new recruits, so.
I'm looking forward to working with the board we have. I think we're going to make some great strides. But if, with council's permission, could we please just postpone this indefinitely until we see where we're going in the next 60 days? Or do you want to appoint an applicant tonight to the board? Yes,
I
Tony.
would like to see it on the first agenda of April. We'll have our new admin hopefully in place, and
Let's do the second agenda in April, because he's actually starting on April 1st, as in my last conversation with him. And that is the actual date of our next meeting.
oh, okay.
So if you would postpone this without a specific date,
Okay.
unless you specifically want to,
That's fine. We'll
okay,
before you-
just postpone it. Second? Discussion?
That was a motion. No,
It was unanimously seconded.
All in favor? Thank you. Okay, item D, discussion and possible action on hot funds available, limits per request, possible other uses. I sent you all this handbook that I came across when I was looking for stuff on this agenda item. I also brought to you tonight from our 1920 budget, this is the September 30, 1920 numbers. This is the hot tax department, and you will see that, you'll see what we allocated in the year-to-date actual. And that was one of the questions, how much did we spend last year? You'll also see what was allocated and not spent because some of these events did not happen. Now, as we talked about, the numbers are, well, 2020, we were 62% of our total projected revenue. In 2021, we're a little bit above where we should be this year, but almost 38%, and that's just with the first quarter. We haven't even gotten to the second quarter. So our numbers are running true, and we're looking at about 40,000 right now in hot funds in the account. At this point, we have not received any applications. So we're still waiting on that. Rebecca?
Are we going to attempt to do this in conjunction with the EDC and their 10% promotional funding?
We have attempted that in before, but we never, I think a workshop so we can sit there and talk about, because if the EDC says, okay, we're going to give this one, this one, this one, and then we come back as a city and go, well, we've already given them this and this and this. So before, the EDC has made their allocations, and then they've come to the city, and then we've made our allocations.
Okay.
The EDC has, somebody was going to, 33,000, I believe, to spend. That's with a carryover from last year. And a 10% of this year's budget of $285,000.
I'm sorry, how much did you say, 30 or 33?
33.
That was the carryover?
For you who are not familiar with what the carryover is the prior year balance unspent. It's what we had left over from the prior year. We can carry that over and add it to 10% of the EDC's annual budget. Yes, Tony?
So 10% of an EDC's revenues every year go to advertising, promotions, that kind of stuff. It's very specific. It's not the same exact things as hot tax, but it does overlap in some areas. The other piece to that is the EDC budget is based on projected revenues, and so it's a guesstimate. And so what happens is when you get that last quarterly payment of the year for the EDC, then you know exactly what 10% of your budget is. So it could go either way. So you could be adjusting it up or adjusting it down, and it rolls over to the next year. So if there's money left over this year that we don't use, a lot of times it has to do with that last quarterly payment, up or down, then we move to the next. And so I just wanted everybody to be clear on how that works, because I know it took me a long time to really understand, but it's always 10%, it does roll over, and it's all projected rates, but at some point with that last payment, you have to reconcile it. So,
And if I may expand on that just a hair also, on March the 25th, the EDC is going to have a workshop here at the hotel after the public hearing about some expenditures to discuss budget amendments, because we have quite a few, and just an FYI, our revenues exceeded our projection by 50,000 last year. So if that's approved, that would bring us another 5,000 into our promotional, which would bring it up to 38,000. But of course, that hasn't been approved yet. Rebecca?
Okay, so it's hard for me to address limits per request without knowing how many events are gonna apply for funding, and then, what the EDC will consider. If they're gonna do theirs ahead of us, then we'll know what they've spent and provided for these organizations for their advertising and promotion of events. But I am curious if you have any suggestions on other uses of the funds. And the other thing I'd like to say is, I think we should go ahead and post the applications, let the event coordinators know
That's
that
been done.
that has been done, and we haven't received them yet. Okay, so good. And so, yeah, do you, I did read the packet that you sent out. I'm curious to know if you have something in mind to suggest for other, uses of the funds.
I was just gonna say that the chamber received their packet and
Okay.
they're working on it.
Great.
The only other project that I could see, which is something that we've kind of kicked around with the CVB, or I and Patricia have kicked around, and is something that Bandera needs that we don't have since the visitors from the Ukraine, I think the last time. We need to get a promotional video of our city and get it out there on the internet or somewhere, not just that slideshow that you get, some sort of welcome to Bandera. I've had cost estimates from a professional from anywhere from 3,000 to 8,000, depending on how long, what you want to put in it, blah, blah, blah. But that's the only other thing I really know of, because we have no real convention center. We have no real sports arenas, but so be it. Yes, ma'am.
So there were three things that I thought were interesting. Number one was advertise and solicit and promote and attract. That's the ones we do with, we kind of give money to local organizations for their events. But the key is they have to be multiple day events, because of the key, it's to get heads in beds. It's for the hotel occupancy.
Exactly.
Is what we're doing. So the other one was fund historic restoration and preservation. So there's a lot of things that we could do that are struggling. We've got the old jail that the county's been trying to get done. We've got the EDC, when I was on it, when we were talking about different buildings. I have to work something through my head so it doesn't come out my mouth. But we all wanted to approach Ms. Stein, because her building is one of our original Main Street, and that block is almost all preserved, with the exception of 11th Street, which has that one little tiny building in the front that's still original, and Ms. Stein's building. The rest of them on that block have been done. I know that when we talked about it in the past, we had not approached her about it, because a lot of our stuff is matching grants and that kind of stuff. And so I thought that maybe if we could have sort of a fund, maybe the community come together and she's on board with it, and we could use preservation money to put toward, and then have an EDC matching grant, that we could assist her with that. I think that would be a great segue we could do it maybe in conjunction with some of the 10-man historic stuff that we're about to designate. I think that would be a really great project to maybe upgrade the parking around that area, clean up the lines, put the handicap parking back. I think that's actually an EDC parking lot over there that never got done. So and that would really clean up a lot of our area that's walking through there, try to come up with maybe some sidewalks and figure out a better solution for the trash compactors that are outside some of the businesses that are in the walking designation. Some of the stuff, some of the little things that have just been on the list and we don't really have a lot of solution for, but if we did it all at once, I think that would be a really great thing to put our money on. And then the other thing that we've talked about for several years is the signage, the Wayfair signs.
Wayfinder.
And, you know, I think that we've got enough in our town that we could do some just high-level, you know, horse trails, you know, this way, you know what I mean, just a few Wayfair signs started out, and that, you know, this money can be spent on that, and we've been talking about it for years, and I think those would be very worthy projects.
Yes, Rebecca?
I would just like to suggest too, I heard a lot of amazing input at our event with Simple City regarding the DNA study, and some of those ideas that came from the community might fit really well in with some of these funding opportunities. And wayfaring signs was most definitely mentioned. The historic courthouse and jail, which I would love to get an update or to be able to sit down at some point and get an update about that committee, which I was appointed to a while back. Jack left the room. But I don't know if it's still in the plans to be an actual convention center or visitors bureau location. But, and I don't know if the county wants our hot funds assistance for that project. So I don't want to be presumptuous about any of it, but I would just like to keep the door open if there was a conversation to have around that.
And I wish Jack was still here, but I can call him and kind of test the waters if he'd like.
Oh, it's on my to-do list, being on that committee, yeah.
You should address the hot funds. The historical preservation and such, the 42,000 that I'm hearing you say you're gonna have for the calendar year, I will put my 2 cents in for Cowboys on Main. That's historical preservation of our culture, and that fits. And it's also advertising and marketing, but it's done locally. I know you're kind of, merchants need to pitch in. I'm not
Yes.
disagreeing with you there.
You don't want to talk to me, do you?
No, so I will
Carry on.
address, I will say that simply as that. But it is a program, people do come for that program, and that's an assured program. The wayfaring signs are critical. This is not on the hot tax issue. This is from one that has listened to the DNA report, listened to what Simple City said. And then I come to meetings where we're starting to talk about the wayfaring signs and such. This is a personal opinion, totally personal. But let's wait till we've had a couple of DNA rodeos to let those ideas totally crystallize. Like changing any kind of ordinance right now, in my humble opinion, would be a waste of time.
I agree.
And Ms. Steins could be a waste, when you really, not a waste of time, that's not what I'm saying, but the character or changing it in any form or fashion, based on the DNA.
I just kind of wanted to put that as a seed of thought as possibilities for this. We don't act that fast.
Yeah, but I mean, in other words, one project at a time is what I'm trying to say.
And folks, these are all great ideas, but my thought on it is that without promoting these multiple day events, which ultimately put heads in beds, we're not going to increase the possible future spending if we don't get the folks here for these events and keep them here. I think wayfinding is great. In fact, I was going to mention that, but I never got that far, but just my thoughts.
Jerry had your hand up.
Jerry?
I'm with Tony, whether it's Steins or whatever other historical buildings, I would like to see us look at possible use of some of those funds for that purpose.
Well, you know, we have to establish what our definition is of a historical building. Previously, it's been of a, somebody help me here, not only the age of the building, but it can also be a sentimental thing. It can be any number of things that are in the definition, yeah. And I have yet to find out where and how the City of Bandera historical marker things came from. I don't know how that started. Do you have an idea, Patricia?
I've always been told Linda Stein and Tom Laxton were involved in that, okay? And it's not official by any stretch of the imagination, it was just a designation by the city. So it has no bearing if the building has one on there, other than the fact it was recognized as that. I'd ask Linda because I've always heard the pie in the sky rumor that there's still more of those markers left over somewhere.
How about one at City Hall?
Huh?
About one at City Hall?
Oh, just, was it on their building or just
No,
just
just
a
like
leftover?
one that was on their own building and I put it up somewhere.
Well,
So-
we're getting off the subject here, but I just brought that up as far as this historical preservation. Yes, Rebecca?
Okay, so, and I realize, and please correct me if I'm stepping outside the bounds of our agenda item, but I'd like to know if the EDC has made their applications for promotional funding available yet. And the reason I ask is because I would almost suggest we let them go first, because they have this large rollover balance. They've got 10% of this year's fiscal year to dedicate to those funds. So if they can satisfy the needs of the community, then we could maybe preserve more of our funds for the historic, a project in the future that comes through our master plan
John?
development.
Single-day events don't necessarily qualify for EDC. Right, oh no, it doesn't qualify for the hot tax.
Hot tax.
So they do, and they would qualify for the EDC. We have not done that as far as putting the money out there, but, I mean, putting the applications out there, but we're on a reimbursement as the city is. So, I mean, we could all accept applications and then come together and kind of, resolve. We know what events are coming if we just get the applications in. We could accept one application for both city council and EDC and then sort it out.
That's
You
true,
know.
we could.
Mayor,
I'm just putting ideas out there.
Sure.
for me, that was one of the more difficult things when it came to dispersing the funds last year, was not knowing if they were even gonna apply in some cases with EDC. Or, more importantly, how much EDC was gonna be willing to commit to. So it kinda made you hold back a little bit, or me anyway. And I think that it would be very beneficial if we could organize it where they've already given us the numbers that they're willing to commit to for the different facilities, and
I just had an idea,
Go
but
from
I'm
there.
about to put Patricia on the spot.
I couldn't hear.
I said I have an idea that I might put Patricia on the spot. I know that you've gotten organizations together to plan the whole calendar out.
Correct.
If we could identify those and get everybody in a room and designate them as 3-day events, where do they advertise, what's their budgeting cost for advertisement, figure out what things they qualify for. I mean, if we started and do it this time, we can add and take away from year to year, and I'd be more than willing and happy to help with that.
Yeah, I'd like to see us organize something like a workshop, maybe even 2
Well, if we,
workshops before we commit on our end.
okay, I'll put this out there. If all the budget amendments are approved, because we've just been, all EDC has not had meetings when, these things were on the agenda. It will be a total of $38,000 if the $5,000 is approved. So EDC will be looking at $38,000 in their promotional line item,
thought
and the city's looking at 40.
I thought that was the rollover balance.
You said that was the roll.
No, the rollover balance is only 8,000.
Oh,
There was 3,000 that remained in the account. If we do the budget amendments, there'll be another 5,000 plus the 2,800 and 28,700. So that's what we're gonna have. There's not a great deal of money there either.
So this is expenditures for last year. What, didn't we have a significant balance in the hot funds for a while? I mean,
As I explained earlier, we did, but then here comes COVID, and our hot fund collections went down by 30%.
I know, but I thought we already had a
Or
balance in
40%.
there already that Seth, I mean, we used to talk about how
Well,
much money was
we
in
did.
contacts and.
It's just 29,000. She just didn't put it on this piece of paper. I apologize.
Oh, that's all it was? It's
Yeah,
only
29,000 is the balance.
I thought it was significantly more, so that helps. No,
Well-
thank you.
The year before, we had 78,000 to work, estimated 78,000. But then again, our hot tax receipts fell down, and we dispersed 23,000, so it ended up 29 left in the bank, plus so far we've collected about 13,000, so.
Okay, so that includes that, thank you.
Does all those numbers just make everybody go, what?
Yes. It's
I think
exactly what
Pat
happened,
had
Marie.
something to add.
Well, I was gonna reply to Tony's comment. That meeting that everybody was alluded to, was not a meeting to talk about finances. It was a meeting to address, were you willing to have your event either in the past fiscal year or to have it in this current calendar year? And that's what it was mainly talking about. Because if you remember in October, we were pretty much all still in the throes of COVID, and we're still been living with that. As Suzanne just went through on the Mardi Gras, she sweated that out to the last minute. The motorcycle rally got its final approval February 26th. Makes it real hard to advance from it. But yes, I am in communication with the people that do the major groups.
May I make it clear too that applications are open for any event from October 1 of 2020 through September 30 of 2021. This is our fiscal year that we're budgeting for, that we're working out of. Normally, this is finished by October of the year before, not the year after. So, just to be clear, because of COVID, some of these events couldn't happen, different reasons. So this is for any event or any qualifying, yeah.
Activity. But
And-
based on the meeting you all had, was it last week, concerning this issue, this topic, you had mentioned the application was still available on the website.
Mhm.
To those that I know were going to seek and that I know from past experience, request funds from the city council, I sent the direct link to the application that is currently on y'all's website, stated that the applications were due March 26th and would be reviewed at your first meeting in April.
No. June 26th was the deadline to submit the
Right,
applications.
March 26th.
March 26th. I'm sorry, guys, I'm having next year. March 26th was the date to submit the applications. That's what council set
Last year.
no, this year, at our
This year.
meeting.
Okay, I'm
week.
sorry.
Is what y'all said.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, March
And I
26th.
sent that out as an email format with direct links from our office as kind of a liaison to
Thank you for doing that.
Thanks,
Pat.
Patricia.
organizations, okay?
Do you mind if I
Tony.
volunteer to get with Pat to make a list of key people that we need to contact from the EDC and the city council?
Absolutely.
And then y'all are okay with me?
You don't need our permission
I am,
to do
if I'm
that.
acting as, I mean, I don't, okay.
I
That
I
that
like
works with me.
disagree.
I'm pretty much,
I like asking
most
as
everybody
well.
knows I'm pretty much an open book.
Yeah, because we have the list of people that we've paid out from the EDC on that Excel spreadsheet, because I put all the promotions on there.
Yes, I can get on the
not just
spreadsheet.
grants. And so I have a list of organizations that have applied in the past. We can contact the ones that have already done their stuff between October 1 and current, like all the Mardi Gras events, the bull riding, they did a lot of advertising this year for the bull riding, and that was one of our more successful events. And so I'd like to contact them and ask them if they have budget and proof of what they've spent on advertising to give them an opportunity for reimbursement. And so if Patricia will entertain helping me with that.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else on this
Actually,
particular
not me,
subject,
the
folks?
office, the CBD office.
Good job, Tony, thank you. Anything else on the subject? Okay. Case like that. Item 5 is closed session. Council, this agenda was created before our meeting last week. I don't see any reason for us to go into not last week, this week, into closed session. With your permission, we'll just remove item 5 and 6
Thank you.
and move straight on to item 7, requests and announcements. Item A is request by council to place items on the future agenda. We've had several requests on Monday. Anything new that's come up y'all want to touch base? No? Okay. Item B is announcements by council. Rebecca.
I have one. On March 13th, that is a week from Saturday, the Kiwanis organization, Bandera County Kiwanis Club, is hosting its annual Music Fest, which we had to skip last year due to COVID, but we're very excited to be bringing it back. Tickets are $20. Did I say it's at 11th Street? It is at 11th Street Cowboy Bar. Tickets are $20. Doors open at 6. We will have Walt Wilkins and Josh Greider opening, followed by a live auction. There will be a $10 dinner plate available from Bricks River Cafe, and our headliner is Cody Canada and The Departed. We're very excited to raise money this year. The proceeds will be dedicated to the Kiwanis Scholarship Foundation and to the Warriors Heart Foundation. So we hope it's a great community turnout, and it'll be fun.
I have a question.
We'll see you there. Ma'am,
Huh.
I'm sorry.
Who has a question? Oh.
Is that something that?
Yeah, I'm sorry I'm late. I had another event. My name is Yvonne. And I didn't know we had like 2 event centers in Pipe Creek. Y'all know, can we go there? Because I know we have a lot of events at 11th Street Bar. And I don't really care for alcohol. You know, because not a place for your kids to go. But is there another place we could pick? And besides 11th
I'm gonna
Street
let
Bar
you.
and everything?
Mhm.
I'm gonna let you.
You know, just put it out there.
This is not really a forum for that sort of an announcement. So this is to announce upcoming events that are of benefit to the community, the entire community, or just community-wide events for everyone in the community. So
And it's announcements by the council.
it's announcements
to
by the
community,
council,
so-
not by individuals. So,
Okay, well, I don't know.
thank you.
So how do you?
I was getting there.
condition that? Just write it up or give an application?
May I speak with you after our
Yes, okay,
meeting?
thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, let's
Happy
speak.
to.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Okay, anything else?
Is that craft, fair, may I please
Yes, you may.
invite Patricia to, because I don't know the details, but there's a community event that, just
Yes,
tell,
there really
what?
is.
Okay, it's this weekend,
This weekend.
It's at Mansfield Park.
Starting Friday afternoon, starting at tomorrow afternoon. Peak day will be on Saturday. Jennifer Nimrichter, the owner of Suzu's Woolworks, some of her will know, she is a master at her skills with everything that has to do with fiber, wool, threading,
Can,
blah, blah.
can Pat be heard? I'm not, so what is the title of the event?
Bandera Fiber and Arts Festival.
Bandera Fiber and Arts Festival.
She will
And
have
there's a
vendors there.
website,
Pardon?
there's a website where you can sign up for crochet classes and all kinds of fun things to do. Family-friendly location for sure, and a lot of local
Not
crafts.
local, they're not craftspeople.
They're worldwide
These are
artisans.
specialty people that you can actually
Worldwide
go and buy your
artisans.
supplies.
Thank
to
you,
create.
Will.
Okay, I think we've got that out there now and settled, so.
But wait, there's the Saturday night as well.
Right.
The All Women's Ranch Rodeo at Mansfield Park. It's still family-friendly activities there too, so.
Thank you. Tony?
So we do, we have a lot of this is our first weekend of spring break, and Frontier Times Museum has kid-friendly events all week that you can sign up for during spring break. They just announced their schedule, And I do believe that typically, although I haven't seen anything, the Natural History Museum always has spring break events. And they've got a new art wing that's open, so that's. Happy
Thank you
spring
very
break.
much. I'm sorry, I was checking on COVID vaccine availability so I could let somebody know, but there's no updates. Okay. Jerry,
Are we done? Go ahead.
motion to adjourn?
Sorry. Yeah. Motion to adjourn?
Thank you, Jerry.
Second.
Rebecca seconds, discussion? All right, all in favor? All in favor?
Thanks, everyone.
Was my mic off the
6:50
whole
PM.
time?